Hey friends, Kevin Goehring here, your Sacramento Stockton area realtor and lender here with this week's weekly real estate report. Hey, I got something on my mind I want to share with you. So we have a lot of people talking about the housing bubble. There's a bubble, right? And then there are the others that talk about, well, if you have a bubble, then you have an impending crash. But the counter argument to an impending crash or bubble pop is that if we go back in time and look at the last crash we had, the argument is lending guidelines have become so much stricter since then. Like, we've learned our lesson. Lending is make sense only. There's no more of these liar loans. So everybody has to qualify. There's truth to that, except, well, there's truth to that, and that's just that. But what people aren't taking into consideration is the pure economics and mentality of what happened last time. So first of all, let's talk about the fact that we had liar loans or people not putting enough money down, so they had what they say, no skin in the game. Well, let's just take a look at the favorite government-backed loan, the FHA loan, which requires only a 3.5% down payment. So if we take a look at, let's say, a typical first-time home buyer house, and I hate to say this, at $500,000. So you have $500,000 purchase for a first-time home buyer. They're looking at a payment of around $3,100 a month. That is ridiculously high, but they need a 3.5% down payment. They come in with their 3.5% down. However, we add back in the upfront mortgage insurance premium to that. So even with the 3.5% down, you add back in the mortgage insurance, you're looking at a loan on that property of about $491,000. So really, there's very little down payment whatsoever involved in that sense. Yes, there was some money out of the pocket, but you owe $491,000. Now, that's all fine and well. As long as home prices keep going up, you can still afford the payment. But let's take a look what happens when the market starts to turn. So if you bought a house today for $500,000 using this FHA loan, and tomorrow you wish to sell it, you can figure that the house is worth $500,000 you paid today. It's going to be worth $500,000 tomorrow. However, it's expensive to sell a home. You must pay realtor commissions, title, escrow fees, transfer taxes, repairs that the buyer may want, on and on and on. So figure 6% loss to sell a home. That's about a fair assumption right there. So you bought a house for $500,000, you sell it for $500,000, you lose 6%, you're at $470,000 net profit. $470,000 net profit on a house where you owe $491,000. So you're already upside down in this house. Now, for most people, that's not a problem. They understand that. They're not intending to sell a house tomorrow that they bought today. However, if we take a look at what we learned from the last time we went through this, what happens, and it happens suddenly. It is a shocking, sudden event when home prices turn and start to fall, and it just starts to snowball, because what happens is, let's take this couple that bought this particular house. Now, suddenly home prices don't go up. They drop at a rate of 2%. Well, if you drop at a rate of 2%, that's on $500,000, that'll bring you down to about $490,000. So boom, you're definitely upside down without even considering the fact that you have to pay fees to sell. So the average couple looks at it and says, wow, our house is now worth $490,000. We've paid $500,000. Let's take a look at what we owe. We kind of owe about that. So we're starting to be upside down. But then it gets a little worse. And then the house down the street that is a model match, you're looking at that going, well, wait a minute, we paid $500,000 for ours, and now that one's down to $490,000, and then suddenly it's $470,000, and then suddenly it's $450,000, and before you know it, you can buy the same house you're in down the street for only $400,000, and you're realizing, well, wait a minute, we're $100,000 upside down. I don't want this house anymore. My payment is killing me. We can't do anything but live here and basically pay for macaroni and cheese because we are making this huge payment. And they start to think, now, wait a minute, why should we keep making this payment? We don't really have that much money involved right here. We only put down our 3.5% down payment. With closing costs and everything, that would be $25,000. Sure, that's a lot of money, but what if they used a first-time home buyer program, which already covered that? Or maybe it was gift funds where mom, dad, or an uncle or somebody gave them the money and they don't have to pay it back. Again, you're looking at really not much skin in the game there. And so that couple may decide to do what we call the strategic foreclosure, saying, I'm just going to stop making my payments. And if we look at what happened last time, stop making your payments, that $3,000 that you were giving the mortgage company now goes into your savings account. And you may do that for a year or two, saving up a tremendous amount of money. Well, at some point, the house is going to go into foreclosure. You're going to give it back to the bank. Your credit is going to be trashed for a small period of time. Meanwhile, you're saving a lot of money. And so let's fast forward. 3 years later, you're eligible to rebuy. You have a large amount of money in the bank. Home prices have fallen dramatically. You buy a house even nicer than the one that you left behind for less than what you paid. So people look at that. And a lot of people look at that. And a lot of people make that decision that, hey, we're not going to do this anymore. We're just going to do a strategic foreclosure or short sale, which I think is the better option. But that's for a different show. But anyway, you can see why when I say that it starts to happen, this pop, why it happens suddenly and it's so dramatic, because so many people make that choice, especially when you have a large group or large population that can barely afford their house. They get tired of doing it. I mean, think about it. You're struggling. And finally you see an opening. You're like, I don't care. You can trash my credit. In fact, it's something that I used to say to people who were asking me, why? Why would this even happen? And think about it. If I came to you and said, I will pay you $100,000 cash, I'll just give it to you, but the only caveat is I'm going to trash your credit. You probably think long and hard. I'm going to trash my credit. Well, I get to rebuild it, right? Of course you get to rebuild it. So for $100,000, you're going to trash my credit. I get to rebuild it. And in 5 to 7 years, it's like it never happened. Absolutely. I'll take that deal. Well, I probably wouldn't, but a lot of people would. That's the point I want to make. For $100,000 or $200,000, I mean, we can be talking about a huge dip in home prices to where you're actually talking about real money like that, $100,000 to $200,000 to trash your credit. People are going to take that deal, which then causes more homes to be foreclosure, more short sales, more. The housing market then falls even further, which causes more people to fall into that category. So it just kind of, like I said, it snowballs once it starts to roll. So am I saying that's going to happen? No, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying that's what has happened twice in my real estate career. It's exactly what it is. So I would anticipate, if I had to put money on it, yeah, I think if home prices start to fall, or when they do, that is what's going to happen. To what extent, I don't know. The wild card in that is always going to be, what is the government going to do? Now, in the past, the government has been somewhat limited and thankfully let the market correct itself. But depending on the administration, they may just come in and say, you know what, you're right, homeowner. It's not fair that you owe more than your house is worth. And we're going to fix that fairness, because we're going to go out, we're going to get those rich people, and they're going to pay their fair share. Don't get me started on that one, because I would love it if we would define fair share. Then maybe, anyway, I won't go down that rabbit trail. So anyway, government could throw a bunch of money at it. We already see them doing it with a lot of other things, just printing more money. Hey, we're just going to print some money, or print you some checks, or and write down your mortgage. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. And who knows what's going to happen if that happens. So anyway, enough of that. Maybe you tuned in to see what's going on in the real estate market this week. So let's take a look at the chart. And here we go. Ooh, that doesn't look so good right there. The available inventory is continuing to fall, which is what we've predicted, because we know where it's going. That's a seasonal thing. The problem is we are way under where we should have been anyway. This number here, right here, 3,200, should have been up here in the 6,000 plus range, but we worked our way so hard and climbed all the way up to the 3,200, which is even with pretty much some of our dismal drops. And now we're going to be dropping down. I really don't know. We may drop down. Well, I bet we're going to drop down below the 2,000 mark. We could get way down and kind of beat our low record from about a year or so ago. So what was that right there? So we're talking about Date's not going to pop. There we go. My date back in, a year ago. So we could look for that. Hopefully not. But pending sales, of course, dropping. Again, I think that it's less of a seasonal issue and it's more of there's no inventory issue. I have people calling me, Kevin, we would love to go look at homes this weekend. I'm saying, yeah, I'd love to go show you some. But there's only 1 or 2 homes that meet your criteria, and I can look at the listing and tell you right now, most of the realtors with those homes that haven't gone pending in the last couple of days, they're just playing games. They've already got a stack of offers and just waiting for something that makes them happy. I don't know. Or just haven't answered the phone. That seems to be kind of the way a lot of real estate agents are going back to doing now. It's like, yeah, maybe I'll check my messages on Tuesday, the first Tuesday of the month, that is. Anyway. Again, don't get me started on that one. Let's see. So what does that mean for our median sales price? Well, we saw quite a large jump last week, but then suddenly this week it dropped down. Now, I don't have the data. It hasn't come in. I have a lot of agents out there I don't have them. It's just a lot of agents out there who don't report their sales. I'm looking at one where I sold the house. I represented the buyers. This has been over a month ago, and it's still showing pending in the system. So, hey, what are you going to do? So it takes a while for these numbers to come in and get corrected. But I'm thinking that is going to come up. There's some other indicators I'm looking at going, that didn't make sense. What I'm looking at, I think a lot of people didn't report their sales numbers. But anyway, so that's what we've got going on there. Rates are just holding just right where they are again. So we're right about 3.1 with 0.7 of a point according to Freddie Mac. And so rates are pretty stagnant. The Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac came out with their new loan limits for this coming year. They went up. We talked about that on a different show. And so you can look for more buyers to qualify for a much larger house, which if more buyers are now competing for larger, more expensive houses, is going to drive those prices up. So unless something changes, I'm predicting that home prices are going to continue to go up for quite some time. That is right until the time when they don't and they suddenly plummet, shocking everybody. So anyway, that's really what's going on this week. Hey, getting close to Christmas. And boy, Christmas has really exploded at my house. Wish I could take you on a tour of what's going on here. But I hope you enjoy your holiday season. Merry Christmas to you, if nobody has wished you one yet. And I hope to see you here next week. Take care. Bye.